I'm going live today again, so hopefully all the tech is working. I'm always so nervous going live. Well, it's kind of exciting, but you never know. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Especially when you're doing the double whammy, live to YouTube and Facebook, the Big Notes Get Votes group over there, and then live to Instagram. And I'm going to do this every day apart from Sundays. I'll need a little break between now and the 13th, the middle of May, basically, to chat about the questions that I get asked most often as a vocal coach. And I am a vocal coach and a professional singer and have been for something mad like 28 years, and it is a real passion. Vocal coaching is an absolute passion for me. I still like to perform. I call myself semi-retired, but I sing backing vocals for an amazing band here in New Zealand called LAB, and it is the dream gig. So as a vocal coach, though, I also get to work with the most amazing artists, both emerging and established. And what I've noticed is, well, what I do before I work with them is I ask them a few questions. I get them to complete an artist questionnaire. And so I've pulled from the most asked questions that I get, and I've kind of created a little schedule over the next couple of weeks to touch on some of these most asked questions, because they're consistent across literally everybody that I work with, whether they're new, emerging, or established. These are the same issues that come up. This one was actually my issue first. And a lot of the things that I do in Big Notes Get Votes, it's a platform to kind of talk about and share my experiences as a professional singer and try to help other singers become confident in their vocal ability. I spent a lot of years, like I said, performing, but I've done some study as well, and this came later on in my life. So I started having singing lessons maybe like 2013, and strangely, it was because I was asked to teach singing. And I was like, I have no idea. Like, I know I'm doing it, but like, how on earth do I teach what I'm doing? So I had to figure out what the heck I was doing, which is always a good place to start, figure out whether it was working for me, and upskill. So I wanted to go to a school that was both online and as good as I could get it for contemporary singing or contemporary music, which is my speciality. And so I found Berkeley, which is an amazing school in Boston, Massachusetts, in America. Very prestigious, amazing school. And I was like, man, they've got an online arm. I'm going to do it. So when I started, I thought, look, I've been singing for quite some time. This is going to be a walk in the park. And boy, did I get my butt kicked. So I literally got schooled. And the greatest challenge that I had wasn't necessarily implementing the techniques. It was finding the balance between what I was already doing successfully, but then overlaying these new techniques and finding that balance between being in the moment and really free, but essentially, that flow state that people talk about, letting go, but also being able to stay in control technically of what I was doing. And this became a real challenge for me. It often is in that learning phase. And that got me thinking, what we often try to do is we try to combine different stages of learning or different stages of life from a day-to-day basis, from a minute-to-minute basis. Some people call it context switching, where you go from one thing to the next to the next. An email pops up, you check that. You're listening to a song, trying to learn the lyrics for something. And, you're constantly doing a gazillion things rather than just focusing on what you need to do in the moment. And that's kind of a productivity issue I think most people have in this day and age. But what it really compounded for me was these seasons that we might find ourselves in. And I talk about them as creative seasons. So once I learned about the concept of these creative seasons, that each stage of your vocal development needs to have a focus to really make the most of the time that you're spending developing yourself as a singer. And so when you're in a learning phase, you just try to learn. When you're in a performing phase, You just want to perform, or whatever stage you're in. And so I've seen, as a vocal coach, 4 really distinct phases that I myself also go through as a professional singer. So my framework that I use for my coaching curriculum is prepare, and I see that to be daily vocal care habits. And that's, for me, is like sirens, singer stretches, and speaking voice mindfulness every single day. The next stage of the framework is practice, and that's having a really clear practice plan based on what it is that you're wanting to achieve, whether it's you're preparing for a show or you are just working on overlaying some specific techniques. Then you have the polish phase. So the concept for polish is that you're kind of already, you're almost there. You're just really shining things up a little bit, whether it's taking it from your personal practice by yourself into a rehearsal situation, and tweaking and really polishing things up to get yourself performance ready, which is the next stage. So those 4 key stages really require their own space and focus. So to bring it back to what the point of this is how do I let go, but also stay in control as a performer? Now, when it comes to singing, sticking closely to that framework is really going to help, because it means that you're focused and not context switching all the time. It doesn't need to be like 3 months at a time for each. It can literally just be for 5 minutes every single day. I'm going to focus on my daily vocal care habits, and that's what I do. I try to make my day-to-day maintenance 5 to 15 minutes, because let's be honest, ain't nobody got time for that. And if it's manageable and achievable, I can do it. When I'm on tour, I up the ante a little bit in that preparation phase, and I add on a ton of different things: steaming, nasal irrigation because I suffer from sinus issues, salt gargling. I'll do all the things. I'll be real focused on my sleep, hydration, and nutrition, which actually I should be focused on more every single day. That's the crux, because our instrument is housed in our body. But that's the focus for the preparation. And once you kind of figure out what you're doing, it becomes autopilot. You don't have to think about it too much. But when you're in it or planning for it, preparing for it, that's your focus. When you go to the practice phase, having a practice plan to look at, and I just have a template that I give my coaching clients, and you just have this sort of outline of an ideal practice. So you don't have to think. Because there's so many things to think about. I just want to give my client something and say this and this and this and this is what you do. And I'm the same. So I follow this practice plan, and I'm conscious of what I'm focusing on. I'm not thinking about performance. I'm not thinking what am I wearing? What does this look like? How am I going to move? Not at that point. I'm just really getting into the song. Then I can polish it. That's when I start to overlay, maybe, do I wear the heels? What kind of outfit am I looking at? How do I embellish or make the song my own? Is there any troubleshooting that I need to do? That happens in my polish phase. And then when I'm performing, that is all I'm thinking about. I'm not trying to remember the lyrics or worried about my vocal health. I mean, obviously things happen, and sometimes you are mindful, but you have the techniques and the tools to be able to. And also you've implemented it in those first 3 stages where you become not autopilot, but it's automated. So you're not having to think, I have to anchor, I have to do this, this, and this. You've practiced exactly what you need to do before you get to that performance point, and you go for it, and you can be completely engaged in the performance. So there's always times where songs are super challenging. I was in a show called Symphony recently where we combined electronic music and an orchestra, like a 60-piece orchestra, and there were click tracks, and I had to concentrate quite a bit. That was really challenging, purely because I was overlaying so many variables, and maybe 80% of the time I got some of the challenging elements right. But you better believe I practiced so much for that. And I video my practices and watch them back so that I can kind of look at it outside myself. So I guess what I'm saying is that when you're in each of those stages, the idea is to have full control of the experience. Be in control when you're learning, when you're preparing, when you're polishing, and the way that you are able to be in control when you're performing, but also to let go and be in the moment and engage in the storytelling and engage with the audience is by having all of those elements in advance. So controlling and understanding the lead up so that when it comes time to perform, which is the payoff, that's the win for all the hard yards that you do moving into things, that you're just completely in the moment. And there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like being in a state of flow or being in the zone. And you can foster that. And I've read some books around getting in that state of flow. Of course, the name of the book escapes me right now, but if I remember it, I'll pop it in the comments. But what you do is you have these repeatable stages that you go through, and they looked at these high performance athletes who are getting these amazing gains, like ridiculous gains in time for performance or distance. And they looked and they saw that they were doing a key series of steps with consistency. Of course, consistency is everything. And with like repeatedly, but they were reviewing as well. So they were making sure that they were doing the same things, but they would also review and tweak as needed. And that is the control. That's the control element where you know exactly where you're meant to be, what you're meant to be doing, the notes, voice qualities, pitches, lyrics, all the things. And the letting go happens because you have had that control of creating the environment to foster and nurture that side of your development. And really, performance is what you're working towards, whether it's in the studio, whether it's, for video, like live streaming or house concerts or busking or, open mic nights. Whatever situation, that really needs to be the end goal. And that is where you want to be letting go and where you want to be staying in control is of that process leading into it. And that's the balance. That's understanding those separate seasons or stages of the framework give you that power to be able to really relax and get into it and kind of get in the zone, so to speak. And what I find really quite consistent across most singers is that they are unclear, firstly, of where they are in that framework and what they should focus on depending on what they're working towards. And so what I've done recently is I've come up with a masterclass that I'm going to host in May, in the coming weeks, where I'm going to ask you 4 questions that help you to figure out where you are in each stage so that you can really focus on that particular stage, that season, and refine, review, reflect, refocus, all the re's, and be able to let go and enjoy whatever stage, but ideally the performance stage, and then to really be engaged in the right place, which is when you're looking after your voice, your daily vocal care habits, your practices, and you're introducing or polishing with overlaying new techniques. But yeah, you got to know where you're going. So I'm going to pop the link to the masterclass into the description or comments wherever you're watching this, and come along because it's free. It's like going to be an hour of us talking and chatting. You can ask me some questions, but really I'm just going to guide you through and figure out or help you figure out where you are and then what the personalized plan for that next step is. So I hope that you will come along because that really, knowing where you're at, what you need to focus on and exactly how to do it is one of those key steps of being able to stay in control of your development, but also completely let go when it matters when you're in the performance phase. So if you need a bit of help with that, sign up for the masterclass. That's at bignotes.com/quiz-masterclass. But like I said, I'll pop the link in the comment/description. But if you've got any questions, let me know. I'll be coming live again tomorrow to talk about, let me check, how to set and smash your singing goals. So this is another way, another question or feeding into that sort of idea of Where do I start? What am I working towards? And I'll give you some tips on how you can figure that out as well. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope to see your questions, and do sign up for that masterclass. I'll see you soon. Have a great day.